Hey, I'm Doug McKnight. I'm going to tie you guys a kick butt little bonefish fly called the Rasta Puff. It's a new take on the mini puff, which has been around for a long, long time and always been a really good all-around bonefish fly. First thing we're going to do is stick, this is a size 4, just standard saltwater hook. We're going to tie this guy on a size 4. You can tie it on any size you want though. The smaller size can be real good too. First thing I do is attach my thread pretty much from the eye of the hook just back a little ways. On this fly, I don't really tie much on the very back of the hook, just really the front. And next thing I do is take some bead chain eyes and attach those. This is probably, you probably want to use bead chain eyes on this most of the time, varying sizes depending on the size of the fly and how heavy you want it. But this is kind of a fly designed for, you know, for shallow water. And yeah, these are just steel bead chain eyes. They're not as heavy as lead and pretty popular on saltwater flies. You don't want to sink too fast or land too hard. And just going to attach those bead chain eyes a little ways back from the eye of the hook, and then add a little bit of Zappa gap and some tight thread wraps, and just secure those guys down good. Just like that. The next thing I do is take some polar fiber, which is a nice newer material, kind of like craft fur, but a lot more soft and has a lot more movement to it. Just one of the cooler, newer materials. The original mini puff was tied with calf tail, which works real well and it's durable, but this has a lot more action to it, which is kind of nice. I'm just going to take a pretty good chunk of that and kind of hand stack it a little bit and make a nice little fat bunch of hair. Pull out a little bit of the under fur. About something like that. Works pretty good. Then I'm going to trim it to size before I attach it to the hook. And you want the fur to come back, you know, a good bit past, you know, the bend of the hook. You know, this is a size 4, and this is maybe about an inch and a quarter long. So just trim that flush like so. And then just tie it right behind the bead chain eyes, like so. Just like that. Next thing I'm going to do, and this is optional, you don't have to put it in there, but it can be put in there if you want it. I usually put a little bit, it's just a little bit of flash, a little bit of flashaboo or crystal flash, and tie that in about as long as the wing. Just like that, and give it a little trim. Now, kind of one of the cool things that we're going to do to this fly, one of the things that makes it pretty different, is we're going to put some spanflex, little rubber legs on there, is little dreadlocks for a Rasta Puff. And spanflex is almost like rubber legs, but it's a lot more durable. It doesn't break down in UV light, and so it's a nice material for saltwater flies and trout flies as well. And what we did with this is we just, this is white spanflex. And what we did is we took a Sharpie marker and just colored the tips a different color, in this case orange, and then did some little tan barrings on there just to kind of give it a little bit of color and a little bit of you know, color variation. But you can paint these up no matter what color you want. You know, the popular colors for the puff are obviously like pink and white, orange and white, but you can tie these in pretty much whatever color scheme you want. And so I'm going to take, maybe 8 or 10 of these little spanflex legs that I've colored them up and tie them in on top of that wing. Just like that, right on top. And these guys will kind of bounce all over the place. And when you're casting this fly to bonefish and stripping it along the bottom, those little spanflex legs have a unbelievable amount of action. And even when the fly is just sitting still, just, you know, the residual movement of the strip, those little legs are just going like this, and bonefish just go like that, eat it. The last step we're going to do is take some Antron Crystal chenille. This is kind of newer chenille, and it's made out of Antron, so it's real sparkly, very translucent, and it's got some flashaboo mixed in there too. So it's kind of a neat addition to making this fly, you know, a little bit different and translucent. So what I did there is just stripped off a little bit of the chenille from the core there, and we're just going to tie that in right up against the wing there, just like that. And then I'm going to move my thread all the way up to the eye. And what we're going to do now is to take the chenille and wrap it, kind of crisscross it in a certain way around these eyes, so it ends up like a little ball. And what I'm going to do is just make one complete wrap behind the eye, one wrap around and in front, cross it over in a figure 8, and bring it straight up from underneath like that and tie it off. Then you're pretty much done. You can add a weed guard on there if you want to. Never a bad idea to do it. But you certainly don't have to. You just trim that chenille flush, and if you kind of wrapped it right, you should be able to look around the entire thing and not see any thread or any gaps in there. Just a nice little orange ball or pink ball or whatever color you want to do. But take this guy out, you know, tie some of these guys up if you're going to the Bahamas or Caribbean or any place you'd fish for bonefish. I think it'd be a great pattern for you.